It's about that time of day again. Welcome back to Nightly Newsletter, boys and girls. Joseph James here. It's Wednesday evening, September 14th, 2016. We're heading into the second half of this quadruple witching week with some excellent opportunities setting up for Thursday. Crude oil is trading lower with a spike in channel. S&P is trying to break below the range we talked about in last night's newsletter. Gold is trying to reverse a two-day trend, and the euro is trying to make it 4 consecutive days inside of a range tomorrow. Boy, I have an exciting newsletter for you guys tonight. Plenty of setups waiting for us for a Thursday trading session. Before we jump into our charts, though, don't forget, the only place to watch the full-length version of this newsletter is here on our blog at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, not to worry. There's a link in the description of the YouTube video. Follow that link. Come over here and join me on the blog for the full-length version of this nightly newsletter. And while you're here, don't forget to join the mailing list. I'll send you an email every evening when our nightly newsletter goes live. Download all the charts you see me using in tonight's video. Follow that link below the video tonight to download the charts and have them ready for tomorrow. Grab your free pass. If you're not a member here at School of Trade, I got a free pass for you to come out and test drive the live trade room as a guest. And of course, don't forget, you're going to learn more with me in 1 week on my free trial than you will anywhere else on the interwebs. Join the trial membership on the right-hand side of the website and get the who, what, where, when, and why we are considered the industry standard in day trading education. And of course, you know I'm always here standing by to help you guys out. Hit me up on the live support button on the right-hand side of the blog. I also have a button on the homepage of our website, and I look forward to helping you. Hope you guys have had a great week so far. We have had an incredible week in our trade room and our chat room. Students never fail to impress me how quickly they pick this stuff up, how much hard work they're willing to invest in this. It's really been a great quadruple witching week here, and we are going into the second half of that quad witching. We talked about this earlier this week, of course. I, of course, always encourage you guys to follow the newsletter every evening, at least to keep up with your favorite market. We know, of course, this is the third week, 1, 2, 3, and, of course, Friday is quadruple witching, the third Friday of every 3 months. That means we're going into the latter half of it, right, the bottom half of the week, and we will expect the quadruple witchery to be happening here now. Basically what that means is lower volume. There is a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. A lot of traders take off and go on vacation Thursday and Friday. It's definitely tradable, but you will see there to be a little bit lower volume. It'll feel a little bit more like a summertime trading session tomorrow than anything else. So just be aware of that, right? Moving really slow tomorrow. If it ends up moving slowly tomorrow, right, you'll know what the culprit is, so just stay patient out there. Really, the kind of the meat and potatoes of quad witching will come on Friday after 11 a.m. So we still got a full day tomorrow, but again, do expect there to be a little bit less volume in the market, really just on the backs of that self-fulfilling prophecy, because traders, of course, experienced traders, that is, know what this time of the year is all about. Looking at some news here tonight. Tonight, of course, is Wednesday, evening the 14th. We got some major news from down under. We got the Kiwis and, of course, the Aussies here. We got 6:45 and 9:30 p.m. If you're trading the overnight session, please be aware of that major news. And then, of course, we'll be kicking off the London session tomorrow morning in our chat room. Chat room opens up, well, chat room's always open, but it really goes into high gear for the London session after 3 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. We got retail sales at 4:30. We got the home prices at 5, merchandise trade, and then we've got the BOE announcement tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. As you can see, there is a peppering of economic news tomorrow for all you London session traders. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow morning inside of our chat room here at School of Trade. And of course, you're with us tomorrow in the trade room opening up at 8 o'clock Eastern time. We get a bunch of news here at 8:30. I mean, look at this. Jobless claims, PPI, retail sales, Philly Fed. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there might be a bit of volume entering the market after tomorrow morning's 8:30 report tomorrow. Quite a bit. Oh, can't forget about, right, the Empire State Manufacturing Survey tomorrow morning as well. I'll throw that right on top. And then we jump right down to 10:15 industrial production, and then, of course, 10 o'clock business inventories, and that will finish it up for tomorrow morning's U.S. session news. So be aware, boy, a lot of news there tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. And then again, we got 9:15 and 10 a.m. So there should be plenty of volume coming into the market, hopefully enough to offset that self-fulfilling prophecy that comes out around quad witching times. Hopefully we'll get a very, very high volume market because of that tomorrow. Don't forget, we'll be in our chat room tomorrow morning as of 3 a.m. for the London traders, and of course 8 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow with all of our students in the trade room tomorrow for the U.S. morning session. You've got the news now in front of you, tons of news tomorrow, and hopefully that will offset any lack of volume, right, that we get on the back of quadruple witching. How about some crude? Let's go crude, S&P, gold, and we'll finish up with the euro. Crude oil is bearish and trading inside a spike in channel this evening with a target down at 42.74 after today's inventory report. The sellers have control and will be looking for opportunities to sell the highs of this channel or sell the highs of that correction zone, or after a strong breakdown, they can hold below the channel low for a move down to that news double down at 42.74. On the buy side, we have to assume that buyers are trying to call a bottom at this measured move, but there isn't enough proof yet, in my opinion, so we'll be waiting for a strong breakout pullback to hold above the channel high for a move up to that correction zone and possibly the battle zone overhead tomorrow. Really, right now, both buyers and sellers have pretty good windows of opportunity. Now, of course, the sellers clearly have control of this market, so I'll be waiting a little bit patiently here for the buy-side opportunities. We saw, of course, this big move down into news. News is always such an unexpected part of a Wednesday session for crude traders. Take that news, double it down here, and that gives you your double down news target at 42.74. We also had a double up potential on the way higher here today, but the buyers weren't able to get their act together enough to keep that going. If you were with us today in the trade room, of course, they missed that double up. So, of course, the double down now being the next logical thing that we expect to have happen. There's a couple things you want to keep an eye on this chart right now. First of all, there is kind of a lazy channel on this. Now, if you watch my newsletter, if you're a student of mine, you know I'm always looking for those channels that have those 45-degree angles, right? So always going to think about that 45-degree angle. Right now, we have a channel right now it's not exactly a 45-degree, as you can see here just by looking at this chart right now. So I call it a lazy channel, and those lazy kind of less than 45-degree channels, they're not going to be as reliable, right? We'll have to really, the way you want to use these types of channels is you want to wait for them to show proof and then look for the move afterwards. The real channel you want to keep an eye on right now is this spiking channel. Spike down, channel out, and of course with that spike in channel comes the correction zone, right? The correction zone, of course, being from 44.21 to 44.38. On top of that, we also know we have a measured move, A, B, C, D. They got their measured move. Two-legged correction didn't happen before they brought it right back down again. So sellers fat and happy off of that news reaction to make that measured move down. Now we assume buyers are trying to pick some bottoms, right? We know that's always going to be a low reliability trade. We're waiting for more information to the buy side, but we should be able to find some opportunities here for those sellers. Now, with that spike in channel down, we know sellers are looking to sell the high of that spike in channel. But really what worries me, though, about the kind of the short-term opportunity here to be a seller, again, we assume sellers are looking to sell the high of this spike in channel, but look closely and what do you see here? The 43.74 measured move support. This is one of those times when I remind you that there is a significant self-fulfilling prophecy when sellers are trying to sell, but there is significant support in the way. So I'd love to be a seller as this price comes back down, but the reality is, though, is I'm not going to want to sell into that measured move, right? I'm not going to want to sell into that measured move, and that means that we may get a shot here now back up into that correction zone. So, of course, sellers are looking to sell the high of this channel, assuming they can do it without selling into that 43.74. That will definitely cause some trouble. Looking to sell up inside that correction zone, and, of course, selling inside the battle zone for tomorrow. Now, we can also expect there to possibly be a strong break down here, right? We'll see what the next few moments look like as this day develops here. Really, what you got to pay attention to right now, though, if this market does go lower, is you can assume a lot of buyers are going to say, "Nah, I don't believe you," and they're going to try to fade this break down, buying below that low. What we need to see, if we don't get a move back higher here, if it does just take off for the downside, we really want to see this breakout pullback hold below the low of that spiking channel for a move down to that double down tomorrow. So as the sellers go right now, selling the top of that channel, selling the correction zone, selling the battle zone, that's where, of course, the most reliable trades will be. If it wants to go lower, breakout pullback. Below that range low, of course, it's going to have to be a very, very strong breakdown, enough to intimidate these buyers, because as of right now, we assume there are a lot of buyers who would be happy to pick the bottom there right now for a move back up to that high. What if you are going to be a buyer right now? Well, talking about that, like I said before, right, this will be an option here. This is obviously going to be the lowest reliable trade here, trying to buy, right, or kind of pick the pocket, if you will, of those sellers, right, trying to call their bluff, if you will. That'll be the most, kind of the least reliable trade, just because at that point you're buying into a move lower, right, without any proof whatsoever. That, of course, will be the lowest reliability trade. What I really would like here, though, to be a buyer is see a nice strong breakout, pull back for a short-term move up into that correction zone and up into that battle zone. And then we really have to see where it goes from there. Really, once we go from there, there's probably three scenarios to consider. One would be we see the next pullback fail and we run right back down. Right? The second scenario would be it shows a bunch of chop, and we're going to sit on hands. Okay? Or the third scenario would be it just runs. And when we get that run, that's going to give those buyers even more confidence now. Again, this bear channel coming off the high is going to be a small speed bump. Remember, those less than 45-degree channels, they're not going to be as important. I'm almost hesitant. I'm almost going to remove the channel from the chart, but I wanted to make sure I talked about it right briefly here with you guys about that. But if we see a real strong break higher here after they hold that pullback, right, there shouldn't be any problem holding that next pullback for a move back up to retest the highs at 45.33 tomorrow. The key word right now for the buyers is they've got to see some strength to basically intimidate those sellers, right? Get those sellers off their back, give them a shot here to buy that pullback, right? And then, of course, from there, show us they really want this. Show me some real strength coming off of that low so they can feel confident to buy that pullback, because you know there are going to be sellers looking to get into these moves as that price goes higher. And we want to make sure, if you're going to be a buyer tomorrow, you want to make sure you do so on some strength. If it goes lower tomorrow, the buyers, of course, can try to call that bottom, right? If you're a seller, you're looking for that breakout pullback below that channel low for the most reliable trade going lower. This should be a pretty interesting scenario here for all the crude traders tomorrow, coming after an inventory report that sent that price lower. Now, how about some S&P? S&P is bearish, trading at the lows of the same range we talked about last night and trying to finish the measured move from yesterday's trading session. Now, I hope you guys know what I'm going to say right now, because I have a feeling most of you guys watched last night's newsletter, and you probably know exactly what's going to come out of my mouth here in a few moments, but we'll go through it nonetheless for all the newbies out there. Sellers have control, right? This is clearly a bear market, but the breakout to new lows isn't quite strong enough to give those sellers, right, that clear edge they need over the buyers, which gives those bulls a window of opportunity to send price back into the range, which requires, of course, a sellers to wait for more information. Sellers need to see a strong break lower so they can sell on the way down to Monday's low and complete the measured move tomorrow. Buyers, on the other hand, would love to see a pullback to the moving average fail for a buying opportunity going back into the range with a target back to the highs tomorrow. This is almost the identical chart from last night's newsletter. I've added a few different things to it. You can see here we got that bear move right down into that trading range. Sure enough, exactly as we were hoping for. We got that beautiful trap high, that beautiful, you can call this a trap, call this a buyer failure, just a gorgeous opportunity to sell off that high. If you listened to last night's newsletter, you were ready, willing, and able to participate in that today. We run right back down to those lows, but I was looking for a strong breakout. How strong, you ask? Sometimes I crack myself up over here. I hope you guys enjoy yourself watching this video as well. If you watched it from last night, we kind of piggyback on that topic from last night's newsletter. How strong, you ask? Strong enough.